Recently, the Senate passed a historic budget reconciliation package, known as the Inflation Reduction Act. The version of the bill that was introduced did not include any positive immigration provisions either, despite previous hopes last year a reconciliation bill might include immigration.
Visit our Swat&Vee channel with your questions to see how best we can help you out your process. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel.
Now, let's get into the video. The Senate passed a historic budget reconciliation package, known as the Inflation Reduction Act, that rejected a series of harsh immigration enforcement provisions and approved a myriad of federal programs: climate change, tax enforcement, and healthcare. Some Republican amendments were defeated without requiring Democrats to offer an alternative for their more vulnerable members to be able to vote for instead. For example, Senator Rick Scott of Florida offered an amendment which would block the hiring of any new Internal Revenue Service agents until the Border Patrol hired an additional 18,000 agents over the top of the agency's current total of nearly 20,000 agents. That amendment was defeated on a 50-50 vote. Other amendments aimed to strip out climate-related funding to DHS and replace it with funds for immigration enforcement. An amendment offered by Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee would have eliminated $500 million to DHS for climate resiliency and climate change-related disaster relief and replaced it with a $440 million slush fund for immigration and customs enforcement that had to be spent in the next 2 months on deporting and arresting individuals who committed felonies. Another amendment would have stripped out the same climate funding and instead redirected that money to building new border wall. Each of those amendments was defeated in turn. Although anti-immigrant measures were rejected throughout the night, many immigration advocates and affected community members expressed concerns about the lack of positive immigration amendments in the final bill, such as visa recapture and other legislative priorities. The next chance for many of those provisions is an upcoming vote on the National Defense Authorization Act. The version of that bill that passed out of the House of Representatives contained protections for so-called documented dreamers, as well as increased support for Afghan evacuees and their families. With reconciliation no longer appearing to be a viable path forward for those provisions, all eyes are now on other legislative vehicles that could finally lead to at least some minor immigration reform. One immigration amendment offered by Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma would have given the Department of Homeland Security a symbolic $1 million to continue Title 42 indefinitely until 120 days after the COVID-19 public health emergency is terminated, something that is not likely to happen for years. Democrats managed to hold firm against this amendment and defeated it 50-50 by offering a second option for vulnerable members who have previously supported more modest extension of Title 42. That option was a vote for a modified version of a bipartisan bill Lankford had previously put forward with Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and other Senate moderates. That vote ultimately failed as well, because it required a 60-vote threshold, allowing 6 vulnerable Democratic senators to join with the Republican caucus and vote in favor, while knowing the amendment would not pass. More than 66,000 employment-based green cards went to waste last year as U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services officials worked through massive pandemic-driven backlogs and an unprecedented number of petitions for work visas. The agency faces an even bigger workload this year than last, 280,000 green cards compared to 262,000 in fiscal 2021, but said it's well positioned to issue all of the available visas before the fiscal year ends September 30th. The unprecedented number of available work-based green cards could mean an infusion of newly mobile workers to help meet an ongoing labor shortage. Unlike temporary work visas such as H-1Bs, green cards allow workers to switch employers freely without losing their immigration status. The green card surplus also promises faster resolution for thousands of Indian and Chinese immigrants stuck in years-long backlogs because of per-country visa caps. "We're definitely seeing an increase in the number of approvals coming through," said Emily Newman, a managing partner at Reddy & Newman PC in Houston. "I hope it's not too little, too late." The high numbers of available employment-based green cards over the past 2 years are a result of closures and limited capacity at U.S. embassies and consular offices amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Many family-based visas the State Department didn't process abroad rolled over the following year into the employment-based category, which typically has a cap of 140,000 visas per year. The problem last fiscal year was massive barriers before we could even start working through green card applications, according to a USCIS official. Those barriers included a massive log of unopened applications and a long queue of biometric appointments to collect fingerprints and applicants' photographs that had accumulated with offices closed during the pandemic. The agency also struggled to work efficiently under a mostly paper-based system, according to a 2021 report from the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General. USCIS eventually issued 180,000 green cards last year, more than a typical year but still well short of the total available number. Previous failures to process visas before the fiscal year deadline led a group of Chinese and Indian green card applicants to sue USCIS in federal district court in Washington state this week. The complaint argued that green card waste is a self-made crisis because the agency only counts visas as issued after a lengthy adjudication process. A similar lawsuit brought by green card applicants last year in a bid to have their cases adjudicated was closed after a federal judge in Maryland severed the claims based on location on the eve of the fiscal year deadline. They're definitely in a better place than they were in the prior fiscal year, Sharvari Dalal-Dini, Director of Government Relations at the American Immigration Lawyers Association, said of USCIS. But the public has yet to see data from USCIS that would show a significant improvement from the pace of the previous year and allay fears of green cards again going to waste, she said. As of mid-June, USCIS had used significantly more visas than at the same point last year and was issuing twice as many on a weekly basis, an agency spokesman said. The agency declined to provide specific numbers on green cards issued to date. USCIS already has moved some staff resources away from other immigration services to processing green cards instead. The agency also redistributed applications among field offices to spread workloads more evenly. The agency additionally has used a risk-based approach to waive interview requirements and urged applicants to prepare to submit medical forms as soon as their applications are taken up. And it's encouraged others to transfer their applications from one employment-based visa category to another with lower demand where eligible, a process known as interfiling. Although USCIS isn't facing the same initial barriers this year as in fiscal 2021, an influx of Afghans and Ukrainians seeking humanitarian relief and a staff vacancy rate of nearly 20% continue to present challenges. The agency is undertaking a massive hiring drive with an aim to fill 95% of positions by the end of the calendar year as part of efforts to address efficiency and reduce backlogs, USCIS Director Yor Jadoo said at a recent conference. But new staffers could spend weeks in training before they can begin processing applications. They already said they don't have the capacity because of labor shortages that they're dealing with, said Greg Siskin, an immigration attorney at Siskin Susser PC. Just because you're hiring a bunch of people doesn't mean you'll immediately have them all onboarded and ready to go adjudicate petitions.
I hope you guys found this video extremely helpful. If you know anybody that could benefit from this information, definitely make sure to share this video with them. We are all about empowering you with knowledge. So the more people that can benefit from this video, the more people will want watching this video. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs icon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell for more immigration updates. Bye!